Hi there, Ram owners. Today in your 2013 Ram 1500, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install Blue Ox's 2-point weight distribution system. And this is what our weight distribution system looks like when it's installed. These components will go between a head that attaches into the receiver on your hitch, and the bars will extend onto brackets that are clamped onto the frame of the trailer. These bars here will redistribute the weight that's pushing down on the back of our trailer and help to redistribute that onto the front axle of our vehicle here. That's going to restore lost handling and braking performance that we've got from our vehicle being weighed down at the back. And it's also going to help bring our headlights back down towards the road so we can have visibility restored at nighttime when our headlights are on. The bars here will ride on the L-shaped brackets here at the bottom. And you can see this flat surface here. It's kind of a friction surface. So that's going to give us some friction sway control. And there's a bar like this on each side to help minimize movement on our trailer so it doesn't sway at the back. And then with the pressure that our bars are putting down on here, it can also help minimize sway as it topples. Like if you have like a heavy crosswind or a semi that drives by, we get a lot of stability for our trailer with this weight distribution system. So that's something to consider if your trailer has a lot of movement, has some sway problems. A weight distribution system is a great option to help combat that. There's a couple of different things that you can do to combat against ride height. Like if your trailer is pushing down the back of your truck, you could get like airbags, or there's sumo springs for your truck to help restore that ride height. But that's pretty much all it does, is it restores your ride height, which does help to restore lost braking and handling performance on your vehicle that you're pulling with, but they don't do anything for sway on your trailer. So this will greatly increase the stability of your trailer. And many of your hitches have increased weight ratings when using a weight distribution system. So I would definitely check your hitch as well. If you're really kind of pushing your hitch towards its upper limits, if your hitch may not get another 5, maybe even 500 to 1,000 pounds potentially when using a weight distribution system on its max toe. And it can often raise the tongue weight a little bit as well. So if you're kind of moving some things around in your trailer, adding a few things to it, it's a little bit heavier now and your tongue weight's a little bit more, might be a little pushing it on what your hitch is rated for, you can oftentimes increase that just a little bit with this weight distribution system. If we look at our arms here, these are round bars that come out of this one. This system here, from what I can see, it seems fairly similar to Blue Ox's Track Pro, but this one's a little bit more adjustable in its setup. And that's got pros and cons. I find that the adjustability here that it has will allow us to get our truck and trailer a little bit better dialed in for the best weight distribution functionality. But the extra adjustments that this one has does make the setup and installation a bit longer of a process. So that's something to consider if speed is one of the most important things. You just want to get this thing on and get it going. I think the Track Pro does a great job, and it's easier to set up. This one's got a little bit more of a pain because of these adjustment washers here. So with the Track Pro, it has a preset pitch on the head, so that way you don't need to adjust it there. You adjust the pitch of your head using the washers located here on the plunger, and that adding washers pitches it down further, and then removing some helps raise it back up. So the only thing that I dislike about this is that in order to adjust these washers, we got to disconnect the trailer off of this. We got to pull our bolts out so we can tip this thing forward to make an adjustment. So while it's mainly for the first time you're setting this up for your truck and your trailer, it just can be a big pain, a lot of disassembly and reassembly, whereas with the Track Pro model and that preset pitch, you just kind of putting everything together, and then the adjustments right at the very end of the bars where everything's really easy to make your adjustments. So I would definitely say Blue Ox has got some very good weight distribution systems here. The performance that it's got here on our trailers really leveled it out. Now there are 3 different versions of this weight distribution system that you can get, and they're pretty close to being identical between them. There's only some small differences. The 2-point here from Blue Ox comes with either a 1,200 pound spring bar, an 800 pound spring bar, or a 600 pound spring bar. We're showing off the 800 pound spring bar today. That matches up with our trailer the best out of all of them. And you do also want to keep in mind that with the 8 and 1,200 pound spring bars, you're gonna get a 2 5/16 ball pre-installed, and the ball on here is rated for 12,000 pounds. With the 600-pound spring bar set, you're gonna get a 2-inch ball that's rated for 7.5 thousand pounds, so 7,500 pounds. So just keep that in mind. Otherwise, these systems are basically the same. So it's pretty cool that they reuse a lot of these same components between those, because maybe you got one of the smaller systems now and you upgrade to a bigger trailer later. Rather than having to purchase a whole new weight distribution, you could potentially just upgrade your bars, or maybe your bar and your ball, to make everything match up. We do sell replacement bars here at etrailer, as well as balls. So if you are going to make that adjustment, you can go ahead and do that by purchasing the parts right here from etrailer. On the head assembly that comes with our system here, we've got 5 holes for adjustment. You get about 1.25 inches of movement per hole as you go up or down. And it can be installed in either the drop or rise position to match your trailer. We're currently using it in the rise position to get the optimal setup for our truck and trailer combination that we're using here. But there are some trailers and trucks that, like if this truck was lifted, or maybe if we had a little bit bigger of a trailer here, we might need to go up a little more on the rise. Now we do have another hole here, but it's possible we might need to go up higher than what we've got, or if our truck was heavily lifted, we might need it in that drop position, and we may need more than what we've got here. Now this adjustment here with the 5 holes, for most people, should do it. It's really mainly those extremely lifted trucks that you're mostly gonna run into this, needing that extra drop, but we do sell replacement shanks here at etrailer. There's a 9-hole version available to give you additional adjustment so you can get more rise or drop out of it. All of our parts are bolt-on applications. There's no drilling required. It just clamps around the frame here, and all of our components have a black powder coat finish on them to protect against rust and corrosion. Now before we hit the test course with our spring bars installed and everything, let's hit the test course without them installed so we can get a baseline of how our truck and trailer feel without a weight distribution doing anything. So we're lined up with our test course here. The first thing we're going to do is hit our uneven bumps, which is going to simulate like hitting a pothole. All right, and when we hit those bumps, boy, there is definitely a lot of truck and trailer movement. You really feel that weight as it goes over, kind of flexing up and down on the back here. And boy, it just really, the weight, you can feel that trailer weight in the truck here. It's just kind of moving our truck and throwing us all over the place. So with a weight distribution system, it's going to help level us out some and more evenly distribute that weight so we're not flexing up and down, because boy, we're flexing. And you can kind of even feel it a little bit in the steering wheel here as it kind of wants to, you hit the bumps, you feel a little bit of a movement from all the truck. All right, next we're in our even bump section here, and this is going to simulate like going over a pothole or pulling in and out of a driveway. And it's somewhat of a similar story as the uneven. It's just more of a forward and backward movement now, and not so much of a, because before it was kind of almost an X-shaped movement we were getting out of the uneven bumps from our forward to backward and side to side that we had going on there. The trailer weight really flexes the coil springs on this truck. All right, next we're gonna head into our slalom section here, where we're gonna mimic an evasive maneuver. Now it is a bit of a colder weather that we got here right now. There's a little bit of snow scattered throughout the parking lot here at some places. So there are a couple of spots where there's potential for icy conditions, so we're not gonna be quite as aggressive as we normally are. And just based on the way that I feel the weight on the back of this thing on this truck, I probably wouldn't be taking it that aggressively anyway, because it really, really feels like it's got a bunch of weight on the back. So we're coming into our section now. And as we go back and forth here, you can kind of feel the weight as it shifts. Once we make that turn and the trailer shifts to the one side, you really feel like almost like it pushes down on the back of the vehicle a bit. So with the way it is right now, it almost feels like we're lifting up on the front so much that I would not be comfortable doing any kind of evasive maneuver with this, because as we lift up on the front, we're removing that force from our weight pushing down on the road. So I could definitely see our traction is significantly reduced with this trailer on here. So I'm gonna go ahead and get turned around, get back to the shop here. We're gonna get our spring bars and everything installed, and then we'll hit our test course once again to see how it compared to our stock suspension. So now we've got our system fully installed and set up. Let's hit our test course here to see how it compares. So we're gonna hit our uneven bump section first. That'll simulate like a pothole. And as we're going over the bumps here, it feels a little bit softer in the back, but it doesn't feel too much difference. It almost feels, you can definitely feel that the weight's a little bit more even on the truck. Before it had kind of a dip in the back that went up and down. You feel a little bit of that weight shifting on the truck towards the front a little bit. So it seems a little more even, not like there's so much in the back. Now we are going over the even bump section, and this is going to simulate going over a speed bump or pulling in and out of a driveway. And when we hit this here, it's pretty much a similar story with the uneven bump. We don't have quite as much of a dip in the back. It's a bit of a more even and balanced bump as we go across it. So next we're going to head into the slalom section where we're going to mimic an evasive maneuver. And we're heading over to our section now. Now it is pretty cold here in Missouri today, and we do have some snow out. For the most part, the parking lot's fairly clear, but there are a couple patches here and there, so we're gonna not be quite as aggressive as we normally are due to that. All right, so we're coming into our slalom section now. And you can feel the weight at the back, but it doesn't feel like it sways quite as much. You can hear a couple of pops there in the back, and that's our friction sway control portion of it as we turn. So that all feels pretty good. This should improve the ride quality of this truck and trailer combo. It's a bit of a trailer for this truck to pull, so it definitely is benefiting from the weight distribution system since we're pushing it kind of so hard. We'll begin our installation by parking our truck and our trailer on level ground in a straight line in front of one another. You are going to want to give yourself a little bit of space between the two. You're also going to want to level your trailer, and you can just put a level on the side to level it. This one has a bubble level on the side of it, and we sell those here at eTrailer. I highly recommend those because they make it really convenient for leveling your trailer. And then when you get to your destination, they're also really convenient to be able to level it to get it all set up. So it's good for setting up stuff like this and also for camping. So we're gonna take a quick look here at our trailer, because the next thing that you wanna do is we went ahead and just pulled the cover off of our tanks just to get it out of the way, because we need to see if we have clearance to install our components here. And you'll measure from the center of your ball here for your coupler. We want to measure back 24 and 27 inches. And that puts us about right in between this area here. So you just want to check the frame here, make sure that you have the capability to install this in this location. And if you need to relocate things, you can. Our tanks here are going to just barely clear, so we're going to be okay there. Just keep that in mind. Sometimes you do have to relocate some items. We do sell tank trays here, so if you need to purchase a new tray to be able to relocate it, we also have battery hold downs and boxes and stuff like that here as well, so you can get the items you need to be able to move stuff around. Again, we're going to have the clearance, so we know we're good to go here. Let's head over to our truck now so we can start getting our components assembled. All right, so here we've got the back of our truck. We've got our hitch right here. We're just going to pull this out so we can insert our shank here. You can see here that it does give you either a drop or a rise. So we got our drop position there, or our rise position. We're trying to set our ball up roughly to the same height of our coupler when it's level over there. This is a Ram truck, however, though. Ram trucks, they have coil spring suspension in the back instead of your leaf spring, so you often want to set those an inch or so higher to compensate for how much sag you're going to get with these Ram type suspension systems. So we're going to put ours in the rise position because of that, since we know we're going to have to set it a little bit higher, and based on our hitch height and our trailer there, you know, we're going to have this inserted. So we're just going to go ahead and get this in. You do get a pin and clip included with your weight distribution system, so we can go ahead and use that. That'll just slide on through, and we'll secure it on the other side. So now we're at our coupler here. We just want to get an idea of what the coupler height is. Pretty close to 22 inches over here on the trailer. So now we want to check over here. We're going to set it about 24 inches because it's a ram for our ball height up here. So that's kind of what our goal is. And it looks like 24 inches puts us just a little bit above the top of this for like a visual reference when you're trying to set this up. So this is the bolts we're going to use for securing it. These are the large ones that come in your kit. We can go ahead and prepare these a little bit. We're going to put a conical tooth washer on each one with the teeth facing away from the head of the bolt. Next, we're going to take our ball here. We're going to get it lifted up into roughly the position that we need it in for our ball height there. So we know the ball stuck up a little bit above the top of here. So that's going to put us about this position right there. So now that we know what position we're going to be in there, we can go ahead and insert our bolt through the bottom hole and then let that tip down. While that's tipped down, we'll need to insert our plunger into the back here. And this is used for adjusting the tilt of our head. You typically want the head to be tilted down just a little bit. We're obviously tilted down way farther than we need to be here, but this is used to determine that kind of preset tilt. And you adjust the gap here by how many washers you've got installed. A good starting point is 5 washers. We know that this trailer here, we're gonna need a little bit more oomph out of it, so you can add another washer to get a little bit more lifting power out of it. If you've got like a little bit heavier tongue weight, you know, I'd even want to put another one on if you're really pushing the tongue weight to the max of your bars here. If you're quite a bit less, then you may need to remove some washers. So I think we're gonna go ahead and just start it with 6, because I know we're gonna need just a little bit extra for this trailer. And then we'll go from there. Again, 5 is the normal starting point. So we're just giving it a little bit extra. And there's a hole here in the back, right there. This pin is gonna drop down into that hole. We've got that in that hole. You can just push this up. We'll slide our other bolt through it. We're now going to tighten this one down here at the bottom. This is going to ensure that our head stays up in this position. Now we've run it up just by hand now until it touches. We'll give it another half a turn with a wrench here to fully seat it. But we're going to go ahead and get these bolts also started. So we're going to place our conical tooth washers on the other side, teeth facing towards the head here. And then we'll place our nuts on it. We'll use a 15/16 socket to give that half a turn of snugness on this bottom bolt. And that'll lock that right in at our position we need it at. So the next thing we're going to do is tighten and torque these bolts here. You're going to use a 1 1/8 inch socket for these, and looks like we're going to need a deep well, because it's better if you put your torque wrench on the nut side, because that way you're not fighting the friction of the bolt trying to spin in the cavity. So we got our deep well there. We're just going to use a adjustable here for the moment. It's the same size on the other side, so 1 1/8 for both sides here. And next we're going to torque that hardware to the specifications outlined in our instructions. So now we're on the side of our trailer now. We already had double checked our marks here at 24 and 27 inches to verify we had the clearance that we needed for our components to fit. So we've got our bracket right here. You can see it's got like this slanted offset edge, and these 2 holes here are threaded. These need to face towards the front of your trailer, and this is actually where the 24 and 27 inch mark, it's really referring to these holes need to be between that marking, because this is where our arms will actually attach to the bracket, will be right in this section here. This is more just for clamping it onto your trailer. So we're going to position ours pretty much to where the front edge of this bracket's right there at about the 24 inch mark. That clears pretty well on each side of our trailer, so that's what we're going to try to set up. So right at about like this. So then we're going to take a bolt. These are the longer ones that come in your kit that are a smaller diameter than the ones we use to put our hitch head on. On the other side, you're going to take this bracket with the single hole towards the top. It's just going to sit right there on top. Make sure there's no wires or anything here. If there are, you need to move those out of the way. We don't want to pinch any kind of wiring or hoses or anything like that between these brackets and the frame. Then I'm going to place another bolt in the highest hole that we possibly can on the underside of our trailer, and then also go through the other the hole on the bracket on the opposite side as well. Each of these bolts now is going to get a nylon locking nut installed on it. And then we'll hold it kind of in the position we want it to, and then we'll snug these down. We're going to use a 3/4 inch socket and wrench to do so. I'm going to be using that adjustable wrench once again just to make things a little bit easier, minimize how many tools we need out for this job. Kind of use your knee a little bit to help keep it centered in the rough location we want it in here. Looks about right. We'll snug that down. Just kind of tap it until it's level, and then we'll snug this one down. And that looks like pretty good. We're pretty well lined up with our mark, level top to bottom. So I'm just going to put a couple more, just snug it up a little bit more, just because I know this gun's not the strongest gun. There we go. And there we go. So next we're going to put our L bracket in place. It's going to attach to those two holes there. Here's our L bracket. You can see you've got a lot of adjustments here that you can put it in for various heights. The higher we go, the more tension we're going to get on our system. We're going to go ahead and just start it with 2 holes above our attachment holes here, and we'll see how our truck and trailer combination respond to that and go from there. Good starting point is either going to be just 1 hole up or 2 holes up. It's kind of a lighter setting on the 1 hole up, and the 2 holes gives you kind of a moderate setting. And then we'll snug these down as well. Now, one of the things I didn't put on these that comes in your kit is blue Loctite. For demonstration purposes, we're not going to put the blue Loctite on it today, but it does come in your kit, and you just squirt some on the threads before inserting those. So now we'll want to go back now, and we can torque our hardware. I'm going to hold off on torquing it though. I like to torque these down after we've verified kind of the ride height of our truck and trailer once we've got it hooked up, because if things aren't set up properly and we need to adjust this a little bit, it's going to be more difficult if they're already torqued. So I usually wait to verify that I don't need to make an adjustment before I torque. So the next thing we're going to be doing here is we're going to back our truck up and hook it to our trailer. But before we do, to know that we've got it adjusted properly, we need to get some measurements here off of our truck. So our truck's currently not hooked up. We're just kind of in its normal unloaded, I'm driving this around town kind of state. So we're going to check the ride height here in the back. Looks like we're sitting pretty much right at about 37 inches. And then we'll also check the front. And then here at the front, we're just over 36, maybe 36.25, right about there. So now we'll hook up, and then we're going to see how those numbers change with it being loaded down with our system installed. All right, so we've gone ahead now and backed up our truck. We sat our coupler onto the ball, and we've latched it in place. So now we're going to install our arms. So here we've got the arm, and we're installing the 800-pound tongue weight version today. They are labeled here on the ends. Now the only real difference between this kit and the 1.2K tongue weight is these bars here. So you could keep that in mind. If you have a, maybe a little bit bigger, a little smaller trailer now, that works great with the 800, and you get a slightly bigger trailer later on down the road. It would be as simple as just swapping these out to get that higher 1.2. Now the 600-pound tongue weight version is a little bit different. It has a smaller ball on it, so you do want to keep that in mind. It's going to be a different ball size. So we can go ahead and insert these. This is just going to slip right up into here. It is a good idea to put some molybdenum grease on here to help it work better. For demonstration purposes today, we're not going to get this bar all messy, but it does just slide up in there. Make sure we're all the way up, clicked into place there. We heard it click, and we verify here that we can't pull it out. If you're unsure whether or not you got it installed in there, I recommend removing it so that way you can see how the mechanism works that clips it in. Here's our release mechanism here. If we look at the mechanism, and the way this works is you'll pull out on the pin, and then your arm drops down. You can see where that pin would go into this little slot here. So that's just another way you can kind of double check yourself if you're unsure whether or not you've got these fully inserted. Once you've got it into that side, we need to put our bar up on top of here. Now, you can see we're pretty far away from being able to do that right now. A couple of things we can do to make that easier. We can raise up on our trailer using the tongue jack, and we're actually going to lift up on our truck some. All right, and by doing that, you can see we've got it quite a bit closer here. Now we're still pretty far away from being able to get this latched. You do have a tool that comes in your kit that can make it a little bit easier. We're gonna lift it up just a little bit higher here. All right, and to use the tool to help you install these, the tool will hook just like this. Our arm will fit down in the little groove there, and then when we lift up on it, it'll pop it on there. But based on the amount of pressure that we are putting on our bar right now, and based on how much we've lifted up on the back, and we're still this far away, being that difficult to put on there means we're gonna get a ton of pressure out of this bar, more than we probably need. So if you're this far away and you see you're struggling, we're gonna go ahead and just loosen these up and bring this down one notch. So I'm gonna grab my 3/4 inch socket and do that real fast. So now that we've moved it down a notch, we're gonna put our tool back up in here once again. Lift up on the tool, and it pops it on there for you. We'll then put our L on there to prevent our arm from coming off and secure it with the pin. We'll now just repeat this over on the other side to get that one installed over there. Our brackets, we want to install our bracket exactly in the same distance from the front. So we'll make our mark kind of at the same spot here at the front and line up the other side the same way, get this clamped on there, put our L bracket here in the same position, and again, put our arm in there. So we're just gonna go repeat that over on the other side. So we went ahead and hooked up the bar on the other side. So we're fully hooked up, gone ahead and raised our jack up. You can see here that there's a gap underneath. We're fully down on our ball. So the full weight of our trailer is now on our weight distribution system and on our truck here, at least on the front here where we're sitting. So let's go ahead and take a look at our trailer, make sure that it's sitting level. And then we're also gonna check the ride heights on our truck to see how it's sitting to make sure we're getting back to that factory ride height. So here's our trailer over here with our bubble level. And we're just a hair down in the front, but pretty darn close to level. By the time we take this thing out and drive it, it will likely settle in. That's very close to level there. So now we're gonna check our truck and our ride height now at the back. is right at 36 inches. So we're 1 inch down here in the back, which is acceptable. 1.5 inches down is about the most you would want to drop in the back. So now we're checking our measurements here in the front, and we're right back at 36, maybe 36.25, real close. So we're right back at that factory ride height. One of the things we want to check here in the front is that we're not pushing down on the front of our truck, where we're actually like lifting the back of the truck up and re-putting that weight all in the front axle. We don't want that. We want to make sure here in the front we're right at about where our factory ride height was, give or take maybe about 1/4 inch. And that completes our installation of Blue Ox's 2-point weight distribution system on our 2013 Ram 1500.